Have you ever been on a dive and seen these really strange nets all over the reef or just floating around and wondering what they are? Well, let's talk about it today as we jump in and talk about ghost nets. Run intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time to Blue Horizon Diving, my name's Mark Wynn, a PADI course director and tech diver. At Blue Horizon Diving, we share all things about diving and take you on epic dive adventures around the world. So if this is your first time channel, make your next dive on that subscribe button. Now, as we're talking about ghost nets, now we're not talking about these ghosts that are flying around haunted mansions, scaring people from a Disney movie or one of the latest horror films. No, what we're talking about is ghost nets from the commercial fishing industry. You've seen Deadliest Catch or other shows where they're doing pots or they're doing big fishing lines, trolling along the reef, and unfortunately they get discarded. This could be from illegal fishing practices where they're cutting lines off, chucking them in the ocean to not take back, or it could be during storms or issues with the lines getting tangled and they've had to cut the nets. It's a huge issue around the world, ghost nets, and unfortunately this is something we see around the world a lot. For example, in Australia alone, they spend around about 15 million Australian dollars every year trying to remove fish nets. Now, let's talk about something here. What do we expect when we're diving across the reef? Now let's jump back in to when we're in Borneo, Malaysian Borneo, diving this beautiful, healthy reef. We were diving between the islands of Sepi and Gaya, and as you can see, as we're moving around the reef, there's loads of fish. It is healthy, beautiful tabletop coral, elk horn coral, staghorn coral. We also have schools of goatfish, snappers, massive schools of barracuda. The reef looks spectacular. Let's enjoy gliding through the reef and see what a healthy reef looks like. Now, we can really enjoy a beautiful, healthy reef. It is spectacular, and that's what us old divers want to enjoy. Now, between these two islands in Borneo, we had Sipi and Gaya. Now, this is actually whale shark season when we're there, and the whale sharks pass through the islands. And it's a great place to see whale sharks. Now, I've dived around the world, I've only ever seen two whale sharks. One in Maldives, one in Egypt. Holly has seen them in Galapagos, everywhere else in the world. Unfortunately, I've not been as lucky as her. So I was really looking forward to diving with the whale sharks in Borneo. But what really caught our eyes was when we dropped into this dive, the fish nets, the ghost fish nets. Now, as you can see, these nets are enormous as we dive across the reef. I'm just going to leave this as one full long clip and give you guys the real scope of the size of these nets. Now, with the Malaysian team and us, we were trying to work out, has this been accidentally dropped or has it been purposely dropped to be picked up later? This is something also happens well where people drop huge fishing nets and then come and collect them later. As you can see, it's canvassing right across the entire reef. The big fish like the snappers and the trevallies and the jacks are getting trapped underneath because they're too big to get through. And as you see, they're sitting underneath the net, trapped on their side, and have died. And as we're moving across, you get the sheer scale of it. This, honestly, ghost net alone was the size of multiple football pitches. We were swimming at sections for 10 minutes and the nets were still covering it. It's one huge net. Now what we did notice was that there's these buoys attached to them, and these buoys are reaching right up to around about 5 meters. So this was making us think maybe the nets have been placed here on purpose for collection later. What we did was, us and the Malaysian team, we dropped back down and started cutting the nets, because unfortunately where this net is located is in a marine park where no fishing is allowed. So we go back down with knives trying to take them out, remove the buoys, and putting markers down ourselves with GPS coordinates for the marine park to come and actually remove it. Now, unfortunately for the marine park, they don't have the money to do this, so they're relying on the local dive centres together to get a team of divers together to come and dive and remove this. Now, my understanding, speaking to them, they actually managed to remove this net 3-4 days later. They got about 20-30 divers, all jumped in to remove it. But what we saw was these huge nets were coming up and creating big balling arcs, which was right in the whale shark channel. And unfortunately, most likely, a whale shark at some point would have got caught in this nets. Now, what can we do to stop fish nets, ghost nets? We don't want to be diving and seeing these huge nets killing the reef, taking all the fish out, and there is organisations doing amazing work. In the UK, you have ghost fish nets, who they go in and actually remove the nets regularly as citizen scientists doing it. They get funding, they are a charity, and they go in and collect the nets, and they're doing massive projects. Now, they have expanded around the world, they're now around Europe, and there's an organisation in America as well trying to remove this. But it also comes to good learning as well of what should you do with these nets. When you're in a situation, training fishermen to not drop them as well. Unfortunately, yes, there is times they do need to cut them and drop them. But they should work out a way of recovering them later as well. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to money, doesn't it? So you as a diver, what you can do is support these charities in terms of funding them, giving them donations, but also becoming part of their programs. Train to become a ghost net fish recovery diver and go out on the weekends with their projects and join them as well, because they're always looking for divers as well. There's great opportunities to get involved as well. Because let's just remind, what should the reef look like? Beautiful reef, healthy, coral everywhere, fish swimming freely, compared to here, as we can see again, the overlay of these fish nets lying over the reef, catching fish underneath, and also having the big balls, catching turtles and sharks and rays, unfortunately. Now, I have been a big fan of ghost fish nets. They've been doing amazing projects in the UK, and I've always followed them and supported them where I can, but I'd love the opportunity to dive and help. Now in Australia, we don't have a program like that at the moment, but hopefully one will be coming to Australia so we can dive too. But what I'll do is I'll just leave a list of some operations and charities in different parts of the world, from America, Canada, Europe, that you as divers could also join, learn about it, check out the information, and also maybe become a diver and get involved in these amazing projects. But as we've seen, these fish nets have a huge impact on the reef, and hopefully you get to dive around the world and don't see them, because it shocked us in Borneo how much or how vast the nets were taken over, especially in a marine park. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit sad talking about ghost nets, but it's always good to share this out to you so you guys can see them, understand, and see what you as a diver can do as well. But as always guys, we'll see you in the next video. Hope you find this informative and actually interesting as well. And thank you always for supporting me in Holly's journey as PADI course directors traveling the world, and also taking you guys around the world on amazing dive trips too. Till next time, keep diving, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next dive.